Attention! If you or a loved one was affected by the Webkinz epidemic of the 2000s, contact us today for a free consultation. It's likely that you're pretty cool. If you're anything like me, just the sight of this rainbow W fills you with a rush of nostalgia and dopamine. If you don't know, these iconic stuffed animals came with secret codes for their online counterparts. Here you could feed them, or play with them, or even chat online with other players. Gaines, the company that created Webkinz, had me in a chokehold in the 2010s. Every birthday, every Christmas, I wanted more and more Webkinz. And they used to be sold everywhere. Walmart, Target, Hobby Lobby, even Cracker Barrel. Because of this, I amassed quite a few over the years. Very recently, I found myself in the toy section of a thrift store, as one does, and I noticed quite a familiar pet looking at me. It was $1 and I needed it. It came with a code and everything. That's a great deal. They don't make these anymore. Gaines now only makes online pets. It no longer makes the actual physical stuffed animal. While the online component was obviously a large appeal to these toys and led to them being so popular, as a kid, I was much more interested in the actual stuffed animal. Even now, at age 20, I have quite a few Webkinz hidden around my room. I always just thought they were really cute and I liked playing with them and making videos with them. More on that later. When I really sit and think about it, those Webkinz have been neglected for years. They are in there either sitting or running or sleeping for eternity, just waiting for their mother to come back. Well, today's the day. Mama's coming. When you play online, each of your pets has a happiness meter, and when you do things with them, like play a game or give them a bath, that meter goes up. Today, I am challenging myself to make all of my Webkinz 100% happy. I have no gauge for how difficult this is going to be or how time-consuming, but I should be able to handle a kid's game rated 6 to 13. So, I loaded up Webkinz and logged into my old account, CatLover2154. It is a miracle, honestly, that this is still around. First thing I did was head straight to the adoption center to meet with Miss Birdie.
Please enter the adoption code that came with your pet.
Now everyone look away, this is a secret code.
Okay.
I named her Strudel because I was hungry, and was congratulated by Miss Birdie in this adoption center room.
Now it's time to meet your new pet.
Was this always a thing? I don't remember ever being here. I went on to design Strudel a room, and not to toot my own horn, but it does look great. With all the Webkinz now in the game, it was time to get started. I have a total of 81 Webkinz that I need to make happy. With the fresh adoption and the stylish room, Strudel's bar was already full, and someone else was already begging for my attention. I remember the curio shop always being one of my favorite places, so Misty and I headed over there.
Welcome back. See if you can find a bargain today.
I found a gem, and I sold it.
Pleasure doing business with you.
Misty was indifferent. I sent her to work as Dr. Quack's assistant. She thought that was alright. By the way, can we talk about how you can't go to Dr. Quack's clinic anymore? Apparently, in 2015, he found a cure to all illnesses and retired. I just think that's interesting because he was rumored to be the Webkinz killer. Continuing on, I took Misty to school and genuinely failed her first class. This does not bode well for me. After class, she asked to visit Quizzies, which, boo, boring. But I answered one question about the Little Mermaid, and she was ecstatic. On to my next pet, Fun. Obviously, spelled in all caps. Right off the bat, she asked me for some new clothes, which makes sense because she's been wearing no pants for, what, a decade? I took her to class, and this time I passed weightlifting. Then she asked me if we could play some games. Duh. I headed to the arcade where we played one of my favorites, Wacky Zingos. You just hit this little guy around and he makes silly sounds. I think he's into it. Anyway, fun definitely was. Next up, Delilah. Her heart was already somewhat full because I had played with her earlier, so I had a feeling that it wasn't going to be too hard to finish her up. I was wrong. We played game after game after game, and she wouldn't be happy. I was mad, so naturally, I made a jail and I put her in there to live out the rest of her days. What? Next, Oreo. He's a cute little guy. I bathed him, which he loved, and then redecorated the ugly bathroom, which I loved. Then he asked me to play this rocket ship game, which is just a really bad, really laggy version of Doodle Jump. But hey, whatever you want, pal. It had been 3 hours at this point with not much progress, so I decided to call it a night. Each day, your Webkinz happiness bar goes down 25 points. So each day, I will not only have to work with my pets to get them from 0 to 100, but I will also have to maintain the pets I have already taken care of. Thankfully, those last few points aren't that tricky, just tedious. At this point, my method was to put them in bed, feed them, have them jump on the trampoline, have them run on the treadmill, bathe them and/or brush their teeth, and boom. 100. Our first pet on day 2 just happens to be my day 1, Brie. I even have a tattoo of her. I took her mining, and this time found a new gem that I got to keep.
Congratulations!
Brie was indifferent. I guess only I get enjoyment from the curio shop. We went to school, we played some games, and she asked me for new clothes. I gave her this fedora and moved on to Foxy. Very creative name, little me. It was around this point when I started to realize that the fastest way for your Webkinz to gain happiness points was to just wait for them to ask you for something. When you do this, they gain 25 points, which is the most you can get at once. Pets won't make requests unless they're awake and their heart is not full. And there are also a number of things that pause your pet's ability to be able to request things. So the most effective way for me was to genuinely just sit and stare at them. This is the method that I follow for the rest of this challenge. Bethany asked me for some food, so I bought her signature meal, a honey glazed salmon, and played some Spree. Not for her, for me. When it was her turn to ask to play a game, we played Wacky Zingos, and obviously she loved it. Okay, here's a little speed round. Coco, Deanna, Jumpy. Let me get 3 big booms. Boom! Now, I had some problems with our pal Lucas. First, I couldn't find his room, so I put him in jail with Delilah. I gave him his own chair to sit in, and I even bought him this cute little hat to wear when he asked for new clothes. But then, he asked me to go to work. Go to work? I took Deanna to go to work 3 hours ago. And you're gonna ask me to go to work?
Oh, sorry. You're a bit early.
I took away his chair. He doesn't deserve such luxuries as sitting. And then he's gonna say to me,
"Can we please go to the arcade? I really want to try our favorite game, Goober's Atomic Adventure."
who the fuck is Our? Because it's definitely not my favorite. Just listen to the music in Goober's game. It genuinely gives me a headache. Moving on from Lucas because he sucks and I hate him, Randall went pretty smoothly, except for the fact that I played a 20-minute game of Pizza Palace for 0 gain. I guess Randall's more of a Wacky Zingos kind of guy. Now, Richard was one of my favorites growing up. He was based off of this character from a skit that Wasabi Productions used to do. I used to tape this paper goatee onto his face and make him use the Richard voice. Sadly, though, for him, he did ask me to go to work, knowing damn well I can't do that. So I built him a nicer jail and I decorated it with colorful padded walls. He asked me to play this lily pads game, which I sucked at. Then I dressed him in this red cap, which unfortunately is canonly a MAGA hat. Hate to see it. Then I helped Ricky and Skylar, who share a room for some reason. I was working with Sven and all was going well until I noticed something. At exactly midnight, all of my progress had gone down, and it was time for me to work with every single one of them again. While I was doing this, I somehow lost Misty's room and just put her in the nicer jail. Feeling good, day 3. 17 happy Webkinz, only 64 to go. Started off with Hunter, and when I took him to class, I was able to go to recess. I can't remember ever doing this when I was younger, but apparently you can do this every 15 days you take your Webkinz to class. Next, it was Kelly, then Randy, who is based off of my own cat. Rest in peace. He's really lucky that the timer had reset when he asked to go to work because I really didn't want to have to put him in jail. Next was Bananas. Call me Carl Linnaeus the way I be naming my Webkinz. Is that funny? After Bananas, we have Brain. Not Brian. Brain. Who I put in jail, and honestly, I'm not sure what he did. But I stand by my decision. Next we have Larid. And Lolo, who won us this sick surf pool. I was able to finish up NOLA and almost all the way through Rockstar when, yet again, midnight hit. Time to do it all again! Woo! To finish up this day, I played with Steve, who actually enjoyed the curio shop, Willie, Bonnie, and lastly, Blizzard. Ending day 3 with 30 happy Webkinz. Starting off strong, day 4. Got Cotton Candy happy with no issues, and Cutie Pie lived up to her name with 2 outfit requests. Next, there's DJ, Feathers, Fluffy, and George. I turned Misty's old room into Goldie's new room since I finally found it and don't really care to move her back in. Once she was happy, I got a pop-up from Zoe, another cat based on my real-life pet, and obviously I couldn't ignore that. Next we have the twins, Haley and Hannah. And lastly, Harry. Right before, you guessed it, midnight montage! At this point, I've got a pretty solid strategy, and the gameplay is getting repetitive, so let's chat. As I mentioned earlier, and as I'm sure you can tell, I fell headfirst into a Webkinz addiction. I think one of the leading causes was my obsession with what was called KinzTube. KinzTube was the name of the Webkinz community on YouTube, and I was the up-and-coming KinzTuber, Webkinz Wonder. There was a wide variety of videos on KinzTube, from music videos to stop motion to scripted series. Shout out SassyCat143, you were one of my favorites. As a kid, this really interested me. Not only could I keep playing with my Webkinz, which I loved, I could make my own little show. I made a bunch of different videos over the years, most of which are gone as I deleted them in a fit of embarrassment in my middle school years. You know how it goes. But it honestly wasn't that bad watching it back. I had my good moments.
And I want all of you to call me Mr. BB. I think that we should call him Mr. PP.
We're gonna touch ourselves if we want to, meanie peenie my pants.
I also found this actual war video that I made, which is just hilarious for some reason. Yeah, so that's just a little of my Webkinz lore, which brings us to day 6. Once again, this day went very smoothly. So if you have 80 plus Webkinz on your account and you feel bad for neglecting them for all these years, listen up. Okay, let's talk numbers. On average, it took me 12.5 minutes to get Webkinz from 0 to 100, counting the waiting time between requests. Multiply this by 81 pets, that is 1,012.5 minutes or 16 hours and 52 minutes. So, if you're a Webkinz sweat, grab a couple energy drinks, and make sure you get it done before midnight. But let's say you're like me and couldn't knock it out in one day. How long would that take? When the pets lose 25 points at midnight, it took me approximately 40 seconds to get them back to 100. We'll assume for this that you get through 9 Webkinz a day using my strategy. 9 times 12.5 minutes equals 112.5 minutes, or 1 hour and 52 minutes for day 1. Day 2 will take the same 112.5 minutes for the 9 new pets, plus 9 times the 40 seconds for yesterday's pets, which is about 6 minutes. Keep going like this and you can find the time it takes. I wrote an equation here to help visually if you're a nerd and interested, but I found that at this rate it would take 1,229.58 minutes, or roughly 20 hours and 30 minutes to make all 81 Webkinz happy at once. So I probably spent very close to this amount of time playing Webkinz this week. Another thing, I do have an idea to make this faster. For each pet, I took the time to move them back into their own room so that they wouldn't get in the way of other pets. But let's say you make one giant room and put all of your pets in there. In this room, you'll put necessities to get points up, like a bed or a bathtub. Then you don't have to go through any loading screens in order to maintain your pets, and you could hypothetically shave down your time. It just seems like a sad life for your pets. Getting back to the gameplay, I got through a lot of pets day 6. At midnight, I got everyone back to 100 and kept on playing. Then, Creamy made me play that stupid goober game again, and I lost.
Well, it's back to the drawing board for me.
So I threw her in a brand new jail. Jail 2. And oh my god, while I was building it, she had the nerve to ask me to go to work. That's why you're in here. It was 2 a.m. at this point, and I had clearly lost all my patience, so it was time to call it a night. Starting off the day with 69 Webkinz, only 12 left. That's light work. I got through 18 yesterday. Since I put Creamy into jail last night, I decided to give Noodles and Reese's her room since they didn't have one. Lily and Olivia had a standoff to see which twin had the better outfit, and you gotta give it to Olivia. Look at that hat. I built a new room for Puffy, Snowflake, and Shasta because they needed one. And honestly, some of my best work. It's so cute. Sebastian gave me no trouble at all with his cute little glasses. Tyler, on the other hand, committed the cardinal sin. He asked to go to work. So I was forced to throw him in jail and to put a TV behind them to play continuous anti-work propaganda. I quickly took care of Simba, the lion, and we were down to one more pet. Now, could I have probably finished this challenge this night? Yes. But it was already 11:30 and I was really nervous I wasn't going to make it before midnight. After playing Webkinz for an entire week, I really didn't want to take any chances. So I logged in for one final day. And as I made my way through each Webkinz, one by one, I remembered all the great times we had. Mostly playing Goober's Atomic Adventure. Genuinely, why do they think that's my favorite game? It is not. I actually really don't like it. Seriously though, the nostalgia that I get from this game is unmatched. And I'm really glad that my account is still around so that I can hop on when I need that feeling. Alright, so now that we have all 80 Webkinz back to 100, our last Webkinz of the video is this English Bulldog Tahiti. I had him jump and swim and even had him go down the water slide I added in here. We headed to the curio shop for one last time and fingers crossed we get something. Then I sat him down to wait for his requests. He only had 2, a snack and a bath. And with that, the challenge is complete. All 81 of my Webkinz are happy. I thought maybe the game would congratulate me in some way, but nope, just an 81 and a bunch of full hearts. I'm not complaining though. My work here is done. Bye!